Hello, Small Fat Adaptive family, and welcome back to the Keto Kitchen's Keto Guide. Today we're going to be talking about the phases of ketosis and signs and symptoms that you might be in keto. We'll start with the phases and then we'll talk about the signs and symptoms of keto. The phases of ketosis. There's phase 1, which is in the first 8 to 10 hours of starting ketosis. In this stage you will still be absorbing the fuel from your last high carb meal. Then within about 10 hours of starting keto, your last high carb meal is only fueling your body by about 50%. So this is where your body starts using free fatty acids as energy. A free fatty acid is basically a fatty acid that's free, meaning it's not like bonded to anything, like they bind to glycerol as an example. And the reason fatty acids bind is that's how they travel through your bloodstream, like they're calling for a taxi, I guess. That's all I'm going into on that. I don't want to get all scientific when we don't really need to. I just wanted you to understand the difference between a fatty acid and a free fatty acid. So now we're at phase 2. And phase 2 happens after 1 to 2 days of starting ketosis. At this point, your body is relying on that tiny little bit of stored glucose in your liver for energy. And this is also known as glycogen. And it's also relying on any remaining free fatty acids as well when the glycogen starts to deplete. Within about 12 hours of your body shifting to phase 2, your liver actually runs out of glycogen. And this starts off phase 3. Phase 3 is usually day 3 to 4. This is where gluconeogenesis starts. Gluco meaning sugar, neo meaning new, and genesis meaning the development or beginning of something. So it's literally the development of new sugar. And this is your liver's final attempt to completely run off of glucose. Gluconeogenesis is a process where your body starts to try and make its own glucose from really the only place it can get it, and the most significant being from amino acids, from protein, from your muscle. And this explains why people sometimes gain a bit of body fat and lose a little bit of muscle when they first start keto. Now, gluconeogenesis is not permanent, don't worry. It is just something your body does to try and stop ketosis happening for a very short time, and it will get in the way during phase 3. The other notable change during stage 3 is that some of your tissues and parts of your organs literally aren't getting enough glucose at all anymore because there isn't enough and your body's not even producing enough, so they rely totally on these free fatty acids that are left. Phase 4, the beginning of ketosis. And this is usually between day 4 and day 7. So long as you've kept your carb intake low up to this point, your body should now be producing ketones to fuel itself. And really important is your brain is now starting to utilize ketones. And this is crucial because your brain takes so much of your daily energy to just keep you going. Your liver is now starting to produce ketones in bulk amounts. And this is where the keto flu is usually most prevalent if you have the signs and symptoms. Now we're at phase 5, and phase 5 is pretty much day 7 onwards. The protein breakdown process called gluconeogenesis has slowed down and is coming up to stopping. It is really quite low. It's not as detrimental anymore. You are now running mainly off of ketones, and you should be at a low level at least of ketosis. But it is important to note this does not mean you are fat adapted. Fat adaptation can take 2 to 3 weeks minimum and up to 6 weeks. Let's call fat adaptation phase 6. Being fat adapted kind of really just means that your body is going out of its way to make these ketones for you. Being keto adapted is really where your body starts burning up fat rapidly, meaning that if you want to lose a lot of weight, you kind of want to strive to get fully keto and fat adapted. So now you know the phases of keto, let's talk about the signs and symptoms of both ketosis and being keto adapted. These signs and symptoms kind of only really just point you in the right direction. There is only really one true way to know what level of ketosis you're in, and we will discuss that in a second. I just want to say as well, the signs and symptoms of keto, you're probably going to think they're all positive ones. No, I'm sorry, they're not. Firstly, you feel super tired. Your poor body is really confused because it was so used to eating sugar and now you've taken its sugar away. And it's used to sugar and it wants it, but you've taken it. Which naturally is going to make you tired because your body's now having to work to do something different. This will also affect your overall endurance performance for a little bit as well. And then you feel absolutely full of energy. When your confused body realises that it can burn ketones, it thrives off of them. Meaning you're buzzing like you feel like you've drunk a load of energy drinks, or you could like literally run 15 miles with no prior training. You can find yourself more focused. This one is fantastic, especially if you suffered with brain fog or confusion as part of the keto flu. Once that fog disappears, your brain is left feeling like super focused. And a big part of this is the fact that you're no longer having these sugar raises and crashes because you're not having glucose, which means your bloods are more stable. The more stable your bloods, the more focused your brain is. You have less of an appetite. With eating high fat comes more satisfaction from your meals. The actual real reason isn't 100% known, but it's believed that it's the chemical effect ketosis has on your brain, meaning that different hormones are sent out at different times. And ghrelin, being the hungry hormone, the hormone that tells you that you need to eat, is one of the hormones affected. It is also suggested that it might be changes in gut bacteria being on keto, meaning that you just feel less hungry. Who knows? But what we do know is that you will not be as hungry as often. You may be thirstier or have a dry mouth. Now, really don't fret about this. This is like a really, really common sign that you are burning ketones. When you're in ketosis, you're losing a lot of water weight because that glucose that's going was bonded with water, so the water's going. Not only this, but you're probably very low on sodium. This can make you super thirsty and give you a dry mouth. Just make sure you keep your liquids up. Talking about our mouths, let's talk about keto breath. If you didn't know, we lose weight via our mouths. We literally breathe out weight. Weird, right? A major sign of keto is bad breath, but it is recognisable from your standard halitosis. Byproduct of breaking down these fats and protein for ketones is a ketone itself called acetone. Acetone is like the simplest of the ketones. Acetone can be removed in the body via wee, sweat, bowel movements, and, well, your breath. So why is it recognisable from just standard bad breath? Because acetone has a distinct smell and taste. You're going to be tasting your breath for a while. Acetone is usually used in nail polish, and that'll explain why your mouth literally straight up tastes and smells like nail polish. Or others say that it's sharp or fruity, but not like nice fruity, like bitter fruity. Be prepared to have a deep and meaningful relationship with your toothbrush, or consistently have sugar-free gum on hand. Speaking of acetone and how it's excreted, sweating. You may notice that your sweat is much stronger and much smellier. This could just be acetone leaving your body. This isn't really a common symptom of keto because a lot of people can't tell the difference of smells in sweat, but it is possible. Next up is rapid weight loss. This one's a bit tricky as it can vary from person to person and how they're approaching ketosis. This stored glucose and the excess water that is bound to them will go. Meaning that in the first week, 2 weeks of ketosis, you might notice a huge drop in your mass. Though please remember that this weight loss will probably slow down until you're fully fat adapted or until you're just naturally deeper and used to using ketones. Don't assume you're plateauing or doing something wrong. This is literally just how your body works. For me, it was very clear that I was no longer full of glucose and that I'd lost a lot of water weight because I lost 10 pounds in the first 7 days of doing ketosis. Next up is toilet troubles. I know nobody likes to talk about what we get up to in the bathroom, but I think it's very important because your bowel movements can say a lot about your health, so I'm going to break the stigma and we're going to talk about pooing. Your body can go 3 ways when you start keto. You can get diarrhea, you can get constipation, or you can have no change in your bowel movements if you're a lucky bugger. Sometimes we get diarrhea when we start keto because due to the high fat content, it's a huge shift to our bodies and, well, they're not used to it. It can also be like really horrendously smelly, like someone's thrown deep fryer grease down the bog. Oh, yeah. Now, your body will get used to it. Please trust me on that. I had severe IBS prior to starting keto. But if it is really bothering you, up your fibre and that should help. Oh, also expect your poos to float and be pretty greasy a lot of the time. Yeah, sorry about it. Now, we sometimes get constipation because our body has gotten used to all the fibre from the high carb foods we're eating. And this also could be the lack of magnesium in your diet or the lack of water your body was holding on to and you're not keeping your liquids high enough. Again, it'll pass, don't worry, but if it's bothering you, take fibre, eat more fibre. Lastly, for our signs and symptoms of ketosis is insomnia. Like with most keto signs though, this is only temporary. You can become restless for nights on end when starting keto, it's true. If you're not eating carbs, well, carbs are known for making us sleepy, aren't they? You're not having something that makes you feel sleepy, and keto makes you feel more energized, so you're just buzzing. Insert spiel about how to improve sleep here. Your keto-induced insomnia should only last sort of a couple of weeks maximum, and you should find after the insomnia is gone, you're actually sleeping better than you were before. So now that you know the signs to look out for to sort of help you gauge whether you're in ketosis or not, let's talk about the signs and the symptoms of being fully fat adapted. Many of these are similar to the ones I just spoke about. Remember, these symptoms probably won't come until you're 2 to 6 weeks into ketosis. You don't crave carbs anymore. You might still crave like sugary food like chocolate and stuff, but when it comes to going in the supermarket, you can literally just walk past the bakery section and not even glance. For some like me, if I have to go down the breaded section, like I had to yesterday because my local Asda is like shifting all of their stuff around. So they put like the peanut butter with the breads, and I had to go down the bread aisle, and it made me feel physically sick. It just feels, it smells mouldy to me now. It's like if you're an ex-smoker, when you smell someone smoking, you think that smells rancid. Why did I ever do that? It's the same sort of feeling. You are no longer hungry. This isn't quite the same as the appetite suppression I spoke about before. I mean, at this point, you're literally not governed by meal times at all. At this point, you could go at least 4 to 6 hours without even thinking about food. And like a 16-hour fast is easy as anything. And you literally don't feel the need to eat when others around you are eating at all. You also feel so much more satisfied after a meal. And most of the time you skip meals and snacks. That relationship you had with food before ketosis is gone at this point. You're no longer in that relationship. It's ended. Get over it. Stop calling her. You don't have a single hint of the keto flu symptoms or signs. Like keto flu? More like keto who? Oh god, that was horrible, I'm sorry. And lastly, the only true way for both ketosis and being keto adapted, there is only one true way to know whether you're in ketosis or not, and that is testing your ketones. But that is a video for another day. Well, 4 days to be exact. Sorry, you're going to have to wait till then. In the meantime, if you're starting keto around about now, I hope that you're getting the signs and symptoms that show that you're in ketosis. That's all from me on this video. Like if you found it interesting, insightful or helpful. Subscribe if you're inclined, and if you hit that notification bell, ding, it'll tell you when I've uploaded. Any comments, any questions, any queries, leave them down below. Keep calm, keep on. Thanks for watching.